So brought you today because we were going to talk about your retirement, but first we want to talk about everything you've done at the library, which is sizable. So I guess we start with we're just going to throw it out with story time. So when you started at the library, what did you start doing? First tell me who hired you.
For circulation.
Circulation. I had to think about what people had. Yes, circulation.
I was hired for the front desk circulation by Brenda Hawkins.
Okay.
I was there for almost 2 years, I guess, and before I had my youngest, Hayden, was born in 2002.
Okay.
So when I came back part-time, I was helping with the children's, and then she left. The librarian and the children's wing left, and I took that position.
Okay.
So I've been doing that since 2003.
Wow. So you've been at the library a little bit longer, but children's librarian since 2003. And then, I guess what was that like when you first started doing children's stuff in 2003?
Well, just like any other small library, we did everything. So I did story time the whole time I was working with the other librarians. We kind of helped each other, but everything, cataloging, covering books, programs, summer reading, just a little bit of all of it.
At that same time, you were also doing teen programming?
Teens. And that was back in the day when it was MySpace.
Okay.
So Friday nights.
Emily still has a MySpace account. That's why we're really struggling on social media. We only post to our GeoCities webpage, and MySpace are the two places. Yeah. So, okay, back in the day, you said Friday nights?
Friday nights, and this was the place to be.
Right.
I'd have 30 teens here. And boy, they'd be lined up on the computers trying to get on MySpace. We did karaoke.
So it was hopping. The computers were being used.
That's when I created a MySpace.
Nice.
Teen night.
Teen night? Nice.
But I would start at 5, and they had to be picked up at midnight. So it was an entire evening of and we had candy and pizza and chips, and we did take 30 minutes to do a poem or for them to at least say something that they read or write a sentence and let's talk about it. Had to be something literacy in there. But
so who else did you work with?
Well, at that time, it was whatever student worker was working. They worked with me in the evenings. One night, one of the girls was back at my desk, and she was on MySpace with her ex-boyfriend. And she decided that they were going to break up, and she called 911 from my desk. So here I am at the front desk just singing away karaoke to Martina McBride or Sarah Evans, and I turn around, and there's the police. That was one fun thing. So
what are some other things that you enjoyed about the job?
I guess the favorite thing would be story time. Of course, I always liked visiting schools, but for the longest time we weren't able to visit,
Right.
But it's fun to get in there and do programs. And I guess one of my favorite times was Woody the wiener dog. We would have them come here once a year with their wiener dogs and do a program for school. Or we would meet at school and do it. Yeah. And summer reading was always fun.
Wait a minute, what would the dogs do?
Well, they wore...
They're just cool dogs?
Yeah, they wore a jacket. And we have her series of books here.
Okay.
Leanne Florence. She's still doing it. Yeah. She's still going to schools, but I liked having the kids here. I always liked going to the conferences, too, and getting away. That was always fun. With whatever coworker I went with, we'd go to Lexington and be gone for overnight, maybe sometimes even 2 nights.
Right.
That was fun.
Yeah.
So, I loved everything about the job, actually. So, do you want to know one of the things I hated about working here?
What are one of the things?
Tax forms. Oh. They used to bring those tax forms in here every year, and they'd be just piled up in the foyer. And people would come through and make a mess of them, or they would come in and say, "You don't have this tax form." Oh, I was so glad when they quit sending them things here.
It was always so frustrating because, 1, we're not the IRS. And then 2, you'd get people who clearly never go into a library coming in once a year mad.
Yeah.
Because they're going to pay taxes. Yeah. So they're angry at us. And it's like, we have nothing to do with this. Was there... It all stopped before COVID, though, right? That quit a few years before. Yeah. But the early 2010s was probably when it kind of...
Somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And then I always had several years in a row. I had Ronald McDonald come to summer reading, and that quit after that whole clown thing happened. You know, I was like, oh well, I can't have Ronald McDonald back. But I was friends with him.
I think they used to have like regional Ronald McDonald's, didn't they? Like, so you'd hit a circuit.
The same one every year.
Yeah, you'd hit a circuit, and they were like getting after it. They had a whole program, and then if you're lucky, you know, they'd show up with the orange drink and some of those the plain cookies.
They don't make them anymore. Can you believe that they don't make them anymore? McDonald's needs to bring them back.
We start doing like our own version of like copyright infringement with Tang and it's orange drink. No, it's not. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. And then so when you were here though too, you went from children's on one side of the building to the other side. And so tell about the renovations. You sat through
the renovation.
3 of them, right?
The renovation
or
was
2 of
fun.
them. Yeah.
We were closed some and then opened some as well during the time. But we weren't very busy when it was happening because I think people knew that a lot was going on inside.
Now, what year was this first?
2011.
Okay, 2011. And at that time, DVDs were still very popular for checkout, so that must have been tough on people.
There was a lot of circulation with DVDs. You'd be just open and closed constantly checking out.
Right.
And, just like anything else, that kind of slowed down too.
I'm so surprised how many we still get. Like last month
it's starting up again, isn't it?
I think because it's become so difficult with streaming. Like there's so many streaming platforms, it's almost easier.
And the price.
To go into the library and ask us to pick something up and go, especially for a movie or something like that or something simple.
So if you're watching this, we're getting new DVDs.
All the time.
Come see us.
All the time. And we still get new books on CD. We're still doing that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about some of the programmers you worked with because you were very instrumental in bringing in a lot of different performers to the library.
But Mark is my favorite. I've had Mark here since he started coming here in like 2000. I think it might have been 1999 when he first started coming.
Okay.
But I didn't have him for a few years when I first started, and then he started coming back. But I generally had him every year. Birds of Prey, we always had them. We used to have them all the time.
Is that from the Cincinnati Zoo?
Animal Tales.
Okay, yep.
And Silly Safaris were always regulars. Of course, all the animal programs. And there were some that were local that had, if I had teens, we would do like Reptile House or whatever. And, there's a picture of me somewhere with a gigantic albino. Oh, my gosh, this thing was huge around my neck. I guess really, I did like working with the teens, but really Storytime was my favorite. And actually, currently, one of the Storytime grandmas, her daughter comes that I had in Storytime. So that's grandma,
nice,
daughter, children. That's 3 generations at current Storytime.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. I guess let's going back to like performers. What are some programs that were so popular that I don't know if surprise is the right word, but we were like, wow.
Hooked on Science.
Okay.
Because he was very popular because he's local, and he would be like on Fox, the local Fox station, or WLWT Channel 5 he was on, and so he was popular. And he was it was fun to have him come in because the kids were always, learning something, and he would do fun experiments, so that was fun. Keeping it work.
I just remember all of us sitting together in a whale.
Oh, yeah, the Whalemobile.
That was pretty cool. And then on top of that, the woman's knowledge of the names of all the whales.
All the whales.
And like where they were at.
Yeah.
Oh, it's off the coast of this. It's off the coast. Trying to think of what else. Got a lot.
Caricature.
Oh,
I have her back every year.
She's great.
I don't have her on there this year.
Because wasn't she like doing it as a favor for us at some one point? Like.
Yes and no. She's really not doing it for others, but she was continue to do it here.
Well, and then unfortunately, every time she got here, it's like we wouldn't let her leave. It was like we're like, you'll be here for an hour and a half, and then
she got bonuses.
3 hours later, she's sweat dripping, her hand is sore.
No.
She's using using her mouth to try to draw these things up and stuff like that. That is how I got the behind my shoulder.
It's not
my caricature. That is when Alice felt bad for me because I missed my turn. Remember, everyone was getting their caricature done, and I missed my turn. But she's always great. She's great to be here.
Alice and I had a lot of fun together over the years.
I love going through the pictures of Alice. We could just not dog Alice, but just show like when she was the bunny.
Oh gosh,
That was
so much fun.
I mean, this is a compliment. That was a very thin bunny those years.
Yeah. Back in the day, I had a couple of parents that really helped out.
Mm-hmm.
They had birthday parties at their house for the grandkids, and they had elaborate things. So we had a circus, and we had a tent set up in the children's room. I mean, we really went all out.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the displays, because you do the big summer reading display, and then obviously the boards, like the one by the copier machine, the one at your desk. I'm sure there's one I'm forgetting, but I'm thinking the tent you had set up for the summer reading prize, and there was always something kind of exciting and vibrant and bring people in. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, that was just fun for us, basically.
That chair was really cool, that little swing chair that none of us could really sit in, and you'd sit and you'd be like...
Yeah. I guess, really, I mean, I'm thankful for the budget that I had, because without the good budget for the children's room, we would not have been able to do those things.
Yeah.
And we liked giving away prizes and setting up displays and having fun with that. And so that was, these past 6 years that Emily, I mean, I don't want to say anything about anybody else, but that's been the fun, is because she was younger and had, I'm saying she had good ideas, and we had fun with it. All of our displays were outstanding. We always got lots of compliments.
Well, since Emily's the one here in the podcast, we can praise Emily. There's no need to praise the other coworkers who aren't here. Well, it's just, and we're trying to create that excitement to have kids come in. I mean, that's all the point was.
Exactly.
Is they want, because you
set it up for them.
If you're here in the building, you're going to pick up a book. It's going to happen. And this is how it starts. And you bring them in for perhaps another reason. Maybe they associate reading with schoolwork, and and it is obviously a part of schoolwork, but it's also part of play, and that's the good thing to encourage. So we wanted that atmosphere, real fun when you come in here and stuff like that. And so I was telling you the other day when I was reading to the second grade class, I mean, it's kind of cool when you see these kids and they at first don't know who you are, and then they realize they recognize you, but they're not sure from where. And it's like, and then they put it all together. From the library. I was like, yes, I'm from the library.
That would be true for me if I was ever out in the community. They would look at me like, I know you from somewhere, thinking that I should be at the library. What is she doing here at Dairy Queen or whatever? She should be at the library.
She should be at her desk. She should be waiting for me. And that's kind of exciting, especially seeing kids come in here and get a book, and they're real excited, and coming up to the desk to check out. It's always kind of fun. It's always kind of, I don't want to say they're random, but kind of the Christmas party with the board, and we're all sitting around talking, and those kind of, that means a lot. Just a month ago, when we were all in Lexington together at KPLA, and you all were for a presentation on, was it wordless story times?
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about that, because I'm like, well, what are the chances all of us will be sitting down eating together in Lexington, hanging out, just kind of neat little moments and stuff like that. I think kind of a neat thing about working here is being how we get included in the newspaper. You do something and it's page 3 or something like that, which is always kind of cool. As far as sharing that out and telling people about it, and not a lot of counties have that. So that's kind of a neat thing for us. And I always kind of like that, because who would get in the paper and what would be going on, or something project around the building and stuff. So, but it was always nice to get that ad out there for the big one page for summer reading, and then Nucor would usually be the sponsor of that. But that's kind of nice. It sets that tone, and then you've done for this year all the planning for summer reading as your gift to us.
Yep. I just got another program today.
Oh.
Foggy Bottom's coming back on May 1st for preschool.
Heck
wow.
Yeah! I was gonna let you know when I got here.
We're gonna have to start cutting Amy checks for her for her
Time
program.
to turn my credit card in.
I've got you guys
Monday
set up.
at 5:00.
I've got you guys set up with 5 programs. Don't worry, you're covered. We've got this taken
Which
care of.
is something else that her and I have both thoroughly enjoyed working together on, was collection development. Get on Amazon and start ordering books, and
well, then
of course
also,
I follow all the authors, so I'd be like, oh, we don't have this book, and she would critique it. I don't really like that book. And then I would get it anyway.
Well, and then also you have that relationship with some of the book vendors who come around too, so you're kind of
my one guy, he passed away.
Yeah.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah. So you built those relationships to all to bring stuff and bring services and stuff. So, and then and then also you've done some adult outreach too, and for like working at the senior center.
A little bit.
Oh yeah, a little bit on that. Any memories of that? Any programs that?
Well, I used to go to the nursing home, and it was called Remember When.
Okay.
And we had kits that we would take, and those were some really funny times too, because you never know what they're going to say.
Well, that's much like going into the schools.
It is.
Yeah.
You kind of never know what's going to be said.
It's funnier when it comes from an older person. And you don't expect it. But yeah, the Remember When was just like bringing back old times, making them sort of remember when it was like this. And so that was I did that with Ann Webster.
Mm-hmm.
And
Ann.
yeah. So that was maybe 2, 3, 4 years that we did that together. Ann and I did a lot together. We decorated the trees together, and she helped me with story time. She was here for a good 10 years, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I don't think Ann helped me with teen night, but she did help me with story time sometimes if I ever needed help. Because there were times when, well, I didn't have an assistant until, let's see, 2000 and maybe 5.
Okay.
Is when I started getting an assistant. And so that was, I enjoyed that because a lot of times I was in the children's room by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was always fun to work with someone else. That made it a little bit more fun than what it already was. But one thing that the biggest change I think that happened was when I first started planning story time, I would sit down and plan out 15 or however many story times at one time.
Oh, okay.
I had my calendar planned out. I would start cutting out, choosing the books, and by the time story time began, everything was planned. And then Pinterest happened.
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't want to do this week. I found this on Pinterest and I want to do this.
Right.
And even that happened even after Emily came, we would have something planned, but we would find something else on, and she would happily.
Not we, Amy.
Help me. Okay. I would, yeah. And then she would help me get it cut out on Pinterest or whatever, get it on the Cricut. And so, but that was a big change because back in the day, yes, everything was planned out and ready to go, and I had it all filed and ready to go. Bulletin boards, I started doing that right when I came.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the bulletin boards I did were really elaborate. It would take me 2 days to complete it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like that a lot. And still do. It's a little harder for me to do now. Sometimes I'd be like, Emily, you can do it now.
Pass this
And
over
then
to
she's
you.
like, I don't like it.
Which the bulletin boards need to be changed.
Emily's gonna dedicate 8 hours of every week to bulletin boards. Tell us what you're gonna be doing. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the next chapter.
Well, I have a granddaughter in North Carolina that will be 2 in April. And so when she was born, of course, I took a 2-week vacation then. And I said to myself that I wanted to move there then. So 2 years later, here I am. It's finally happening.
Yeah.
I just got to the point where I just was like, I'm just going to do it now. So I will be moving to Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm not moving right now. Our house will still be there, and Greg is staying here to follow up with some things. He's not quite ready to get his roots out of the ground yet. But, so yeah, my granddaughter will be 2 in April, and I'm going to take care of her while my daughter works.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So, 15 minutes from the beach.
Can't beat that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You're only a couple minutes from the Ohio. I mean, it's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing.
Phoebe has a beach, Miss Amy.
If you're bold enough, you can swim in the Ohio.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different atmosphere, really.
I've heard a lot of people compare Warsaw and Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, Wilmington is actually overpopulated currently. But it's Wrightsville Beach is what's near. And then there are some other places. Carolina Beach and Fisher Fork is beautiful. So I just really intend on... Now, I might not be able to keep up with what Julia's expectations are of me. Because Sunny is not even 2 yet, and she counts to 30, and just her knowledge is just unbelievable. Julia's worked with her.
You can
So I'm like, okay,
get on the Mango app and get a foreign
Yeah,
language.
yeah. I'm going to have to teach her Spanish.
Oh,
and
goodness.
Yeah, I expect her to have 3 languages
she'll know
down by
algebra
time.
by the time she's 4.
Yeah, by the time she comes back up here, we expect all these languages knocked out when you come visit us. Heckle Emily's programming.
Our goal basically is to have a place there and in
That's
Kentucky,
awesome.
so
Yeah.
that we can, because we have children here, so
Yeah, it's nice to be grounded in
Yeah.
both places. That's wonderful.
to be able to live in both places.
Well, that's why there's not a lot of waterworks and tears here because it's such a great opportunity for you and your family, and it's very exciting. We're obviously all going to miss you, but we don't want to make you feel bad because you're going off to something really cool. So we'll
I
tell
don't
you.
feel
Yeah,
bad.
she doesn't care.
I said we don't want to
if
make you. So we won't be spending that time saying those nice things. That's what I know.
I'll be broke, but I don't care.
Broke on the beach is a lot cooler
Yeah.
than broken dead on the beach. So,
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm happy
yeah.
with my decision, and I'll miss working here, obviously.
As Emily points to herself.
Yeah.
And actually, I've heard a lot of wonderful things the parents have been saying and coming to story time and just catching in memories of, do you remember doing this? Do you remember doing that? And really having that marking, making that impact on the community, which you obviously have done. So this will probably have a lot of views. And if it may just be Emily watching herself on YouTube. I know it'll be me. I'm half of all views.
And I'll be telling everybody, don't watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like that part. Or you could just be like, it was so much different before it was edited. It was such a completely different conversation and stuff like that.
But anyway, I would like to take this time to thank you for the opportunity, and Emily.
Oh.
That was great. You did wonderful. It was a lot of fun. It was fun having you here. We're going to miss you a lot. I'm going to miss you're an amazing storyteller.
Yes.
And you keep me well versed on what's going on. And not only that, the history of why this is going on today and what happened 25 years ago or longer in Gallatin County to cause this. And it's been coming into this job and not, learning the community as I went along. You really helped me. And I'm very fortunate in that. One, it's a very accepting community. So I'm very fortunate for that. But also that you all are my guide rails. And so I'm very appreciative for that. It's been nothing but fun. I mean, even on the days when we drive each other nuts. And I do think, when people overuse that, like family, well, we are like family in that we probably only want to see each other twice a year. But, we do get along. And that does make it. And I think some people, when they come in here, they pick up on that. And they're like, hey, I think it's a fun place to be. And it's like, it is. Actually, it's a lot of fun to be here at the library, obviously because of you. So we're going to miss that.
Thank you. I will miss you guys too.